Hi everybody, I am Rashi, the CPC of BTech CSC batch 2 first year. Today we are gathered together to have a group discussion on the vital role of youth in politics and governance. First of all, I'd like everybody to introduce themselves.
Myself Ashish. I am Moni. Myself Sneha.
I am Manish.
I am Yashika.
Myself Alicia. So, youth play a very crucial role in shaping the future of our society, especially in terms of politics and governance. Now we are witnessing of a young generation who are more educated, more informed, and having more perspective ideas. They can bring new technology, they can bring new perspective ideas, they can bring social justice in the society. And they are very creative and they have different thinking. So they can face the challenges that faced by our society nowadays. So when young politicians participate in politics, they ensure that politics not only focus on present but also focus on future. Now, why politics is important and what is the importance of young politicians in politics and governance? First one is they help in making the democracy stronger. When young participants participate in voting and take part in voting and discussion, then our democracy becomes stronger and it also aware other people to take part in voting. Second one is better regulation. When young politicians take part in politics, then new leader come in governance, and we all knew that, and we all feel that there is a difference between the thinking of our generation and our old generation. So when our generation leaders comes in politics and become leader, then they better understand our requirement and they better understand our needs and better fulfill them. Second one is they fight for corruption. So corruption is the biggest problem facing by our country today, and when younger politicians demand transparency in governance, then our government become more transparent.
I want to add on all the positive points that youth in politics and governance. First point that youths are very advanced like nowadays. They use technologies, they use many digital platforms like social media apps like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And they organize their social welfare campaigns and in this way they unite the country in the sense. And youth has nowadays not in the maybe in 10 maybe decades ago they have established an online voting system which was very efficient in voting system, as they don't have to make line. Yeah, they have to make line, but it's a one punch and voting is done.
It saves time.
Yeah, and they mainly focus on social issues which they understand, which youth understand, like education, health welfare, and
But still we see the youth is not participating in voting as such.
The youth are not participating in voting because they thought that no political party or candidate can be true to their values. So this makes them disinterested in voting.
Moving on, I would like to say that youth are the architects of tomorrow. Yet the power to change or to govern lies in the hands of those people who are elected to embrace the change. Like in this era driven by AI, innovation and technology, we need fresh perspectives. Are we still on the stage that we can rely on those people who are not ready to change? Like today, the average age of an Indian MP is 55 years old, while that of an Indian is 28. This is a glaring gap which not only reflects representation but also relevance. Like we have countries like New Zealand and Finland where young leaders have transformed their governments by making progressive policies. The government today should not be only in the hands of those who decade of experience, but also in the hands of those who have decades of potential. So the question is not that is the youth ready for politics. The question should be that is the politics ready to adapt to the mindset and changes that youth wants?
Yeah, I feel like the structure in which politics works is that it comes from the above. Everything which is going to be declared by the people who are at the top of the power, that is going to be implemented by the people who are working on the ground level. Whereas it should be the people who are on the ground level like us, the issues which we are facing, that those issues should be taken by the people who are in politics, and then those issues should go up and up till the people who are actually capable of making those changes. The scenario of politics in India, I believe it needs a lot of change. a hell lot of changes are required in order to make sure that the youth who are actually interested in politics, their interest is at least maintained. Forget about instilling more interest in the youth of this politics. The very niche amount of young population of India who actually are interested in politics, how about we try to maintain their interest itself? The system in which these kind of things work is that the reality is that this system is full of corruption. No matter how much of a utopian society or how much of an ideal society we try to represent in front of the people who we are talking to, the reality is that even if you want to have your streets clean, you need to have some kind of connections with the people who are in the MPs or MLAs of your district or from the place where you belong, so that your streets will be clean each and every single day. Or you would need to give money to the people in order to make those streets clean water, clean air, and good education system. These are actually the needs of today's youth, not the issues which the older politicians are actually arising. We don't care about the religion, we don't care about the class, we care about these issues. These issues can only be taken by us, and we are not having that much of power yet. The people who are actually sitting at the top of the power, they need to make sure that there is a fair play, there is a fair ground on which the people who actually want to get into politics is a structured part for them so that they can get without getting their hands dirty.
So this type of governance is actually called gerontocracy, in which significantly older people rule the country instead of the younger generation. However, this was not the case during the independence. Like after the independence, first Lok Sabha had 26% of MPs under the age of 30. Since then, we are seeing a downward trend. So, how can we encourage the youth to participate in politics and governance, and how we can encourage the government to take the people, the younger people, to participate in various levels of decision making, from panchayats to parliaments? How can we encourage them? This is the question.
That's a good question. That how can we encourage them to take part? Because the interest which we have, it is actually suppressed by the people all around us. If we want to become MP or if we want to become an MLA, people would laugh at us because there is not any structured plan for that. We need a structured plan, or at least let's say that even if there is not a structured plan, the process should be in such a way that you can get to that place without getting your hands dirty. And the system in which we are in right now, it's not the case right now. We need to make sure that the youth are actually getting interested in politics. When they are, maybe through social media, we can encourage that. We can have these pseudo parliaments, we can have these social media influencers trying to encourage the youth to take more role in politics. But when the reality comes, maybe let's say that each and every one of us is suddenly interested in politics, and each and every one of us wants to make a career in politics. And people are also encouraging us. But then the question comes, how do we do that? Who do we reach out to? If I go to an MP or an MLA and I tell to them that I want to become a person like you, they won't have an answer. I have a question. Why is it necessary for the youth or for me to follow the ideologies of a certain political party? Why can't I be like that? Okay, this is a party over here, this is a party over here. I don't support most of the political parties. There is policies in this political party, there is policies in this political party. Why can't I appreciate the good things which are done by this political party? And why can't I also appreciate the good things which are done by this political party? Why do we have to choose a certain box to put ourselves in? And the same thing happens if we want to make a career in politics. We have to leave our values aside in order to step ahead into politics. Let's say that I am a person who is having a chance of becoming an MP through some kind of connections, of a particular political party. But at the same time, also want to make sure that the students in my locality are getting good education, the elder people in my locality are getting good healthcare, and the streets are clean, the water is good, the air is clean. All of the very basic things. I'm not saying about the great infrastructure to build and everything. But those ideologies which I'm having, those would need to be put in the box of that political party, and the ideologies which do not match with those political parties, they would need to be sacrificed in order for me to get to that place where I want to be. And the time when I would reach to that place, I would have become so much corrupted that I would never even care about those values. The people are just simply Our youth is having the potential to change these things. Our youth is having the potential to change the way our media works. Our youth is actually having the potential to change the topics on which politics is happening in this country. But the thing is, the changes need to be made in reality rather than having these pseudo changes.
Yeah, Manish, I agree with you that our youth have the potential to make changes in the politics of human nation. But what do you think? Actually, the youths are taking participation or they're utilizing their time, not either in politics, also in their own career, either engineering, medical, and whatever they want. Our youths are not giving their efficient time to these all things for our nation, for our politics, and all of our concerns. They're just wasting their time on social media because from last 5 to 10 years, social media is in demand. People are making content. They are just thinking the future is only on social media. They are using Instagrams, YouTubes, Twitter, Snapchat, and whatever, etc. There are too much apps. And then people, what the youths are doing, as we know, our family members, our elderly people don't know how to make editing or how to make reels and how to transfer all the information online. They just scroll on it and make their interest on their reel. They play it again and again, show it to their friends and their all the family and all their circle. Then what the youth are doing? The youth are first wasting their time on it. They are just not making their career. They are just making their time and other time wastage. They are making their personal posts and all. And one more impact is that if suppose there is a election going on, and in election there is party A and party B, and the party B is somewhat much more better than the party A. So the opposition will create this because they know the people are influenced by that all the letters. So our youths will look at that reel and they will thought, yeah, this will have too much likes. This channel have too much subscribers. For their own career, for their own need, they will encourage that data and that reel on the social media day by day, and they will have more likes, and they will they think that they are doing right for their career in blogging and whatever they are thinking. But actually, what are they doing? They are making negative sense of a candidate in our mind, in other people's mind, and they are giving a negative or a wrong representative to the nation. Instead of this, they have to transfer a message through their this talent that we have to choose our representative according to us. We have to think about the positive points. We have to think about ourselves, our nation. We have to think that what decisions can make our future bright. If suppose what if we have elect a representative and that representative not doing their work properly. So by this talent, we can put this quality or this what we can say we can that side on social media we can put. Then people will we can say influence. Then people will think what we are doing. We have chosen wrong candidate and they will raise their voice against it. They will take their right decision next time. I don't think the decision will improve that time, but they will aware for the next time.
So
I would like to add that you are right. The youth are on the wrong track, but we should remember that we have the recent case of Kolkata. Youth was on the road for getting justice. We can't say just youth are not interested. They are interested. We have the rallies, the social justice. They do participate. But the question is, why would an educational, tech-savvy person want to enter that dirty pool where their competence is often overshadowed by nepotism and what we call bhai jawar. They are not given what their capability is. Like we have seen the Gandhi legacy has been going on. Why we are not seeing any other party coming to power? Slowly it is coming, but it is what we need to remove. And we need to bring the new leaders who have the capabilities to work on it. Like take the example of today. In a writing class, a sir asked who has an interest in politics, not even a single child raised their hand. This might be has roots from the Bollywood that shows the negative perspective of politics. For example, we have movies like Sarkar and Rajneet. In this, they have shown that politics is something a dirty pool. That if we enter there, we will either be a part of gangster or something related to murder and violence. But But we also have a positive side like movies like Yuva and Nayak. In Nayak, you remember a famous film by Anish Kapoor in which he took the decisions so boldly that he transformed almost the entire city. So this is what meant that sometimes we need to set the narratives. Narratives play a very important role. We need to set the narrative from corruption to honesty. That's what I want.
And I just want to ask one question. Why does less amount of interest of youth in politics be an appropriate excuse of politicians not allowing a fair ground? Why does, if youth is actually not interested in them, why does it become an excuse that it's okay if the youth is not interested in it? The politicians need not to create a fair ground for them to play. Even if the youth is not interested, it is the duty of the government of that country to make sure that first of all they create a fair play of ground. Then the people will themselves come to that ground and have their active participation. The misinformation and the misspread and everything of these things is going to be in itself at the risk when the people who actually belong from the youth come to power. Let's let you yourself become the MP or MLA. You know this problem. You're going to address it. But what about that 80 or 90 or 70 or 80-year-old man? He doesn't know any kind of relevance of these reels or everything.
For this, the thing you are saying, the 70s or 80 years old person is our president, our MP, MLA, whatever. So the thing is that they are making the rule as they made at their young age. They don't think that our nation should be developed. They are just developing it, but in an old way. They are not thinking about the youths or about our nation, that new technology had taken the place, and now the technology should have to run our government in another way to develop the nation. They are running the country in their own way, and they are ruling from 5 years. Now they are ruling presently for 5 years, and they will rule always until their death.
The thing is, as you said, like government should set up a platform kind of a thing to encourage youth to be a part, rather than being like, if you are interested, do it. If you are not, to implement any idea, for any idea to come into place, like to get that intended, we can have an act or some legal obsession to create the fact that youth have to be in a certain percentage in any legislative assembly or parliament. The government can make it a rule, a law, that this amount of people have to be in the legislature or whatever, in the political grounds, representing younger generation, like under 30 or whatever.
But why the solution to everything leads to reservation?
Because you said that youth is interested. Even if the youth is interested, they are not having that platform or whatever you said, like they are not able to be a part. Like literally they are not being able to be a part of it. So for ensuring that we can begin this again, like why we had reservations for the reserved categories, because of the discrimination. So in that sense only, we need to have reservation for it's not actually the reservation, it's just a fact that we need to maintain the age of the people who are being a part of this political ground. That if we have people up to the age of 70, as you mentioned, like 55% of people are over age, to ensure that there is a certain group of people who are of a younger age to represent their adolescent.
What I would like to say, why the solution every time to lack of any reservation? Reservation is not the only solution. We can give them the awareness, the skill. They have to make their own place. Reservation is not something, it's like spoon feeding. It's not what we want. We want them to, what is youth? Youth is something that they have full of ideas. They need to work on it. We should not give everything in the spoon and the plate.
But youth, even if youth is interested, they are not able to. Why?
They have to create their space. They are interested. I said that.
For creating the space, I'm saying that they should have a certain amount of percentage.
But what is the guarantee that, okay, what you're saying is absolutely right. We need to have reservation in order to
Not
make sure,
reservation.
in order to make sure that initially people are getting more amount of participation in the parliament. But what is the guarantee that this thing is again not being used by politicians to gain more votes by them? Like the things which we are seeing, that we are going to increase reservation by of OBCs and SCs to 50%. What is the guarantee that the same thing will not happen with these kind of reservations? That will increase the participation of these SC or ST or these kind of youths to be again 40% of what the actual reservation is.
But having youth in larger percentage is not bad at all.
And youth, why do we need youth participation? We need youth participation to remove such evil things from society. Like we are the youth, we have faced and been oppressed by these reservations. Like before 12 and now, we were never aware of this type of things. And after this, when we enter the competitive world, what we see that there is no place for that merit and all. What we get is only based on what is your caste and all. And reservation creates caste. Reservation creates division instead of removing it.
But the pervasive image of the corrupt political system we have in India right now, youth is not able to participate. If the government gives them opportunity in the sense of making a certain percentage of the ground to be of youth, it will help youth to be a part, right? Even if they want, they are not able to because of the corruption. If we make the things possible for them, it
Is
will.
there not an alternative better solution?
We are again going on the same one. Opportunity does not mean reservation. Just remove this mindset and we need to remove it.
Yeah,
Because we have faced it and we do not want the future generation to face it.
it's not that reservation is bad, it's that the usage of reservation by the government in order to be more usage of reservation by political parties in order to gain more votes is what makes reservation a bad thing. We need to have an alternative, better solution to that. It's not that every approach, every country is facing the best solution to that is reservation, but it might seem like a good solution in short term, but our politicians are not that good that they are actually going to take the best use of it. They're going to misuse it to such an extent that reservation will increase to so much that maybe 99 people in 100 people of the room are going to meet from reservation, and one person is actually on the basis of merit, like you said.
Then what will happen is brain drain. That the candidates were really deserving. Why we will live in this country? We have so much reservation. We just fly out and live in another country. We deserve to respect our merit. That's what we will do at the end.
I agree.
So just remove this perception of 26% or whatever. You need to make this space not a space to get in this place. You need to stand for it.
So what according to you is a better solution?
Better solution will be like awareness. They have to, like we are the one who are voting. We need to choose the leaders who want to, for that the one who is representing should have a wider aspect. They should know what we want.
Okay,
If
but
some-
that's an expectation from the leader who is
Yeah.
already being chosen. That's an expectation. But what is the solution?
Solution is that the one who is standing up from our community, we will support it. And we are the largest section of society. We 28 years, as I said, they form a larger section of society. And if we combine to support that person, then he or she will definitely come in power.
But the thing is, who we are electing right now,
Yeah.
is that person a youth?
If we want someone to stand up,
But
But
how?
we are
But the
voting.
question is how? It's not like we are going to support the person. We are not like, okay, everyone is good. There is already a choice which is presented in front of us. There are two people, you have to choose one of them, regardless of if both of them are good, regardless of if both of them are bad. That is the problem. The question is, what you are saying is that let's expect that the person would know our problems. That's an expectation from them. What she said, that the resolution might be a better solution. But what I'm asking is, what is a better solution?
better solution is that if we are not among those representation, we can try to make our voices reach them and force them that we want our representation and that you should make policies which favor us.
Do you
Then
realistically
we
think
make a
that that is
policy.
We should do a start. Everything in first the one realistic. We should just do a start.
For starting, we need to have the low and this amount of youth.
You know, like
to be
you
able to-
yourself mentioned about
Yeah.
Kolkata case, there's so much of outrage which was in the Indian youth. But what happened? It's still the same.
It's because that some people are there in the government. I have in the mindset I can say, but there should be some very strict law
Exactly.
to punish those people. And I can't say
But those are the people who themselves can amend those in order to prevent it. But the people who should be punished are the same people who can amend those laws in order to get out from them.
we need to separate who the ones are.
But still the question is how?
How?
I mean, I'm not asking you, but I'm asking myself also that how do we reach to that solution which is realistic and which is no reservation?
The answer should be given by us only because we are the ones who are the future.
Yeah.
Like one should take the initiative from among us to go and there. And we know that if one among us will go there, we will support them. So yeah, there is a lack of initiative and we need to take the initiative and go out there.
I believe that what I believe is that the best possible solution is education. Maybe education will not be able to provide a very, like a very quick solution, but ultimately over decades we can certainly see a change. And there's actually a theory, there's actually not a theory but a conspiracy, that education is in order to make you more dumb, so that you would not be, so that you would be set into a structure and you can't get out of it. That's a conspiracy
I don't
theory.
like that. Education alone will won't do. Education with values is more.
That's what I'm saying, good education. I'm not only saying education. Educated youth is not necessarily a productive population. Good education is necessary. Good education can only be implemented by the government. But again, the government is the same people who do not want us to come.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The government is not allowing us to come.
Yeah.
If we bring up the concept that let's leave a reservation or law, whatever, leave it. If you have something like we want youth, right? We want youth in politics. So we have to ensure that you know, like when we are voting, most of the youth, as she said, don't even go for voting and whatever purposes. So we can try to have the representative, a person who is younger. As you said, like we'll vote with whoever, they will implement these ideas for us. But if they are elder, they are overage, how will they think this way, the way we are thinking?
Like the person out there wants us. He or she will do whatever we want
Yeah.
to make us. So we can use that as a opportunity to tell them what we need.
And that's still a question, that's still not solved. But obviously we'll have a discussion about it later, so we'll leave it to one now.
Let's give some examples where young leaders have achieved success. I have an example of Sarah Matri, she is from Finland. She has governed her country so well that in some weeks, she is 34 years, and in some years only, her country, that is Finland, became the most transparent, happiest country in the world. Second example we have from our own country, that is Chavi Rajawat. She left her corporate job to become the youngest sarpanch in the rural area. She adopted modern technology to develop her area of governance.
I also want to highlight many young leaders from India itself. Like one example is R. Rajendra. She was a mayor. She was the youngest mayor in Thiruvananthapuram, and she had she managed she built infrastructure. She maintained healthcare facility. She provided education and what all things for a necessity for a people. And second, let me come. Okay. Second example is Chandrani Murmu. She is the youngest member of the parliament in MP. She also improved lives of tribal communities and educated them. Yeah.
I also have one real life example of a politician. One is Ramya Mani. She's from Delhi and she's a youngest corporation and a municipal corporation in Delhi. And she broke 15-year incumbents at just the age of 24. And these young leaders influence us in many ways. So.
Yeah, that's a good example.
So I guess this is where we bring our discussion to an end. It was a great conversation with everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you.